Hello, everyone. This is Lauren Israelson, President of the United Natural Products Alliance. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today, my guest is Brent Anderson. He's the Business Development Manager for Nosco. Nosco is one of our great members. And in a recent conversation, Brent and I were talking about the effect of COVID-19 on the natural health dietary supplement industry. Naturally, the pandemic has been a major bummer, but consumers have been drawn to the shelves and to their computers to buy dietary supplements, natural health products in record quantities. We are very appreciative and grateful for that support from the consumer community as they turn to natural products to support their health, their wellness during this very tough time. One of the interesting unexpected side effects of all of this are shortages of products and raw materials in the supply chain. So in a recent conversation with Brent, we started talking about packaging of all things and quickly realized without packaging, there's no product. So I invited Brent on today to share some of the interesting learnings and the creative and novel solutions that Nosco's developed to try and help companies through a very unusual time that our industry and the marketplace is going through. So Brent, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate it. Thanks for the introduction.
You're welcome. Brent, tell us just a word about yourself. You live here in Salt Lake City with me, but there's more to the story than that, I'm sure. And then we'd love you to give us a word about Nosco, a 110-year-old company, been around a long time. And their evolution is itself a fascinating story. But today we're really interested to hear about how you've developed and responded to the need for novel packaging solutions for companies across the country that are trying to meet consumer needs here. So first, a word about yourself. Tell us about Nosco, and then talk to us about the new world of packaging that you are developing.
Yeah, certainly. So like you mentioned, I'm currently based in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm Nosco's business development manager. So I get to work with a lot of Nosco's customers in the natural product space, specifically on new product launches, as well as managing existing products. I've been in Utah for the last 6 years. I'm originally from Wisconsin. I'm still unabashedly a Green Bay Packers fan. So I know with us recruiting from Utah, we do have a little bit more Utah fans here for the Green Bay Packers, but I love it out here in Utah. I've been out here for 6 years and really appreciate the relationship with the UNPA and the engagement that we have with the membership of the UNPA. It's very valuable to us in the types of products that we develop, as well as the solutions that we bring to the market. Specifically to COVID and kind of steering into our conversation, there's been a lot of changes in the natural product space related to COVID, some of them very unexpected. One that a lot of the membership is probably very familiar with has been a change in segments and growth in segments. So immunity products being boosted, as well as a change in channels. So a growth in online sales. The growth in immunity products has really been unprecedented and has caused challenges for some companies to try to keep bringing products to consumers and meet their demand. One of the areas that this relates to in packaging has been in rigid plastic. A lot of the jars, containers, and bottles that are used for pills are sourced directly out of China. And we have had customers reach out that they have had lead times in the 8 to 12 plus week time frame. Nosco primarily services printed packaging, and what has been a novel solution for companies that have had challenges in sourcing their rigid plastics has been moving into flexible plastics. So for example, for a 5-pound protein, instead of using a rigid jar, you could utilize a stand-up pouch and receive that in half the lead time. So it's allowed us to keep companies selling products, keep products on the shelf, and keep consumers receiving the products that they're used to.
And you told me a story, Brent, that was astonishing in terms of the volumes. When you're shipping these kinds of materials, there's a big difference, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Typically, in shipping a flexible pouch compared to rigid plastic, rigid plastic will utilize 25 times the amount of trucking space for blank or empty packaging. So, one of the other trends that we see with consumers is a desire for sustainability. And sustainability is really holistic. Consumers typically will think first when looking at sustainability is sustainability of the materials that are utilized for packaging, but also the rest of the supply chain, including how products are shipped and the amount of space that they take up in trucks are also part of sustainability.
Yeah, very key point. That's true. That would be true for ships on the water as well. No matter how it's being shipped, that's a huge difference. And as you say, our consumers are very conscious these days of sustainability. And they most often will think of the product itself, but the packaging necessarily, it's the last thing that leaves our hand that goes into the recycle bin or the garbage. So that is really good news in terms of flexible packaging. What are the various applications, Brent? How far can this extend in the natural product supply chain? So the typical, would say, vitamin C bottle. What are the options that you're seeing in that kind of product as opposed to the larger, let's say, a protein powder tub?
Yeah, we've seen interest, and actually a lot of our research has been driven by the EU. So the EU is very receptive to pill pouches, which are alternative containers, which are flexible, that would replace rigid plastic jars or bottles. So you can do anything from a 60 count vitamin in a pill pouch, which would be a smaller format stand-up pouch or a gusseted pouch, as well as just a regular sachet, to anywhere up to the 5+ pound protein canisters. So the format that you can utilize for flexible packaging, and this is no pun intended, but it's very flexible to different sizes. It can grow with the growth of the product, and it can also shrink down significantly as well. The other benefit to it that Nosco is providing on our flexible packaging is that we're utilizing digital print production. So in contrast to conventional printing, which members would recognize as utilizing printing plates and loading inks, digital print operates much more similar to a desktop inkjet printer in that it uses 4-color process: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. That allows us to reduce our lead times, and companies can receive their flexible packaging in as little as 2 to 3 weeks. Again, contrasted to what we talked about with rigid packaging of 8 to 12 weeks, even plus.
That's remarkable. That's a tremendous change. And how long do you see, we're all trying to forecast how long will we be in current pandemic mode where everything is interrupted? The supply chains in China, we're somewhat familiar with that. We do a lot of work in China. This could go on for quite some time, well into 2021, perhaps even beyond. So I would guess that you're seeing tremendous interest and demand for this new generation of flexible packaging.
We are, and as a company that's been in business for over 100 years, like you mentioned, one of the things that we've built our reputation on is our reliability to our customers. It's very important that our customers are able to receive reliability from Nosco in their packaging. A lot of times packaging is the last step of the process that's considered on dietary supplements. So making sure that it's there on time when it's needed is important. We do operate 8 manufacturing facilities. So we have redundancy across our manufacturing facilities. Also specific to flexible packaging, we do operate with a standard book of materials that we utilize, which allows us to maintain Kanban or lean manufacturing sourcing techniques to ensure that we always have material on the floor needed for packaging production.
Brent, you've given us a great understanding of the front end of sustainability when it gets to the company, but now when it's in the hands of the consumer, they're very motivated and interested in what happens on the back end. So could you tell us what you've learned about consumer preferences regarding sustainability and recyclability and compostability, things like that?
Yeah, and it's really interesting you bring that up because sustainability is a very large umbrella which covers a lot of sub areas. You brought a few of them up: recyclability, compostability, biodegradability. The terminology that consumers and companies use are different, and the end use and desire for the packaging is also different. Some of the market research that we've participated in with a partner, Mintel, leads us to see what consumer preferences are. So 64% of consumers identify recyclability as their preferred sustainable source for packaging. Contrast that with 39% of consumers asking for packaging that is compostable or biodegradable. Additionally, to recyclability and compostability and biodegradability, we also have the ability to source through Sustainable Forestry Initiative and Forestry Stewardship Council. So SFI and FSC are two supply chain certifications which certify packaging from a renewable source. So instead of it being recycled packaging, it's coming from a forest that is continually regrown.
Wow, terrific stuff. Consumers certainly, as you say, are very interested in how they can participate in improving the state of our global climate as well as long-term sustainability. So it's been a fascinating discussion, and packaging, who knew? Interesting subject. And as you told me, and I will remember this, certainly repeat it, is that every package is a billboard itself, and it represents the brand, the identity of the company. And it's really the ambassador of the company that people see every single day at home. So Brent, thank you today for coming on to the channel. And for those that are interested to follow up, I'm sure that we can put a little tag on the back end to get hold of you or others at Nosco to learn more about the future of packaging, especially during this very unusual time of COVID-19, and how they can solve their real life business problems, serve their consumers better, and do that in a sustainable way as possible. So been a great discussion. I appreciate your time, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Lauren.